All right. So let's go ahead and do the mic check.
All right. Testing. One, two, three. Testing. One, two, three.
All right, let's see how long this takes to come through. Come on, stream. There we go. Good stream. Okay, you're good. And I'm good. All right, awesome. So yeah, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Militant Casuals Jank Tank 2 and the first
All right,
top
awesome.
8 game.
So yeah, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome
I'm
back
hearing myself through you, by the way.
Yeah, we've got some echo. Let me.
first top 8 game. So yeah, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome
I'm hearing
back.
myself through you, by the way.
Yeah, we've got some echo. Let me.
First top 8 game.
We've got some echo. Testing.
That sounds good. And I'm not hearing myself, so that's good too. Okay. All right, so as I was saying, hello everybody, and welcome to the Militant Casuals Jank Tank 2. We've reached the top 8, kind of. We still haven't got our 7th seed determined because we've got a couple players who still need to play their game later this week, but we did have the 1 seed and the 8 seed settled, and the 1 seed is headed out of town, so tonight we're going to get that game resolved with David Stewart and his Scum and Villainy list facing off with last night's play-in game victor, Darryl McMillon, who grabbed the 8th seed by beating Tommy Wynn at the very last possible moment of that game. I'm Ben, as usual, your Militant Casual founder host, and with me tonight in the booth is, for the second time, Jeff Wilder from the Wide World of Wargaming X-Wing podcast. Welcome back, Jeff, and thanks for joining me.
Thanks very much.
So one of the things that I think is really good about having you on tonight's stream is I've played a lot of games in the Bay Area, but I've only played one game against
I'm
Darryl.
sorry, Ben. I have a lot of echo
Do you?
going on.
Let me see if we're getting it on the stream.
I have a lot of echo going on.
Okay, the stream seems fine. Do you want to try disconnecting and coming back in?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, cool. I'll just go ahead and continue my spiel. Part of what I think is great about having Jeff on tonight is while I've played a lot of games in the Bay Area before I moved to Eugene, I'd only played Darryl once, I think, in a tournament setting, and I don't know that I've ever played Dave in a tournament setting. But regardless, Jeff has played both gentlemen quite a bit, and so I'm going to be relying on Jeff quite a bit to share his experience with these players with you and their tendencies, etc. So we have our two players getting set up here, and we've got Darryl running a pretty cool four-ship rebel list, Nora Wexley with Lando and Skilled Bombardier, Fen Rao with Crackshot and the Phantom title, Warden Squadron Pilot with Barrage Rockets, Agile Gunner, and Munitions Failsafe, and Gold Squadron Y-Wing with just a dorsal turret. So not a lot of wasted points, quite a bit of hull, and sounds like Jeff.
Remember, we had to. We kind of shouted when Darryl was drafting. We were like, "You're not taking barrage rockets. What are you doing? Not taking barrage rockets."
Oh my gosh! Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's yeah. And he did come back and realize, oh yeah, I should probably do that because I think he was going to put Veteran Turret Gunner on the Y wing, and we were like, well, on the other hand, and yeah, not only that, but this list, which is an excellent list, and obviously excellent because Darryl has flown it all the way into the top 8, made it all the way to like the 18th pick of the draft as well, which I think caught some people by surprise. I know that if Darryl hadn't picked it, Daniel was going to pick it at 19, so that was also causing us no amount of hilarity in our chat as Daniel was praying that Darryl wouldn't take it, and then it got stolen.
Daniel ended up with a very tough list with Chopper and an Ether Sprite.
Yes, he did. He did not suffer for that, and of course he won his pod, so we'll see him at some point in the top 8 too. And then, of course, David Stewart is a guy who, Jeff, you and I will both attest to, mostly plays Rebels, but he's taken this Scum and Villainy list with Torkoal Mux, Perceptive Copilot, Connor Nets, Contraband Cybernetics, and Delayed Fuses in the Moldy Crow title, Asajj with Beckett and the Shadowcaster, and Talonbane Cobra and Contraband Cybernetics, not just into the top 8, but to the number 1 seed. He kind of blew everybody away. So, Jeff, what are your thoughts on both David and this list, and then Darryl and his list?
Oh, I've actually played against David with this list, against my list, and we randomized first player and everything, and actually went 2-0 against him. But I think I went 2-0 against him. We may have played 3 and he won 1, but I don't really remember. But Talonbane is an excellent and alone sort of semi-ace with the Contraband Cybernetics.
Yep.
Asajj Ventress is a force-using pilot in a ship with 10 hit points. Punk. Now, weirdly, Torkoal Mux is pretty much got to be your first target here. For one thing, he's worth 73 points.
Yep.
That is crazy. That is 73 points is almost 15 points per hit point. That is just a loaded Torkoal Mux.
Yeah.
And he will, if you don't get rid of him quickly, he will simply change your ability to do the calculus of the game. You can't figure out target priority. You can't figure out who's going to be alive to shoot. Torkoal Mux has to die, with prejudice.
Yeah, I mean, Torkoal Mux is one of the best pieces in Scum. Anytime that he's not priced out of usefulness, it is pretty hilarious to see him at 73 points because of not just Perceptive Copilot, but also having bombs and Delayed Fuses and the Moldy Crow title. But ultimately, as you say, he's only 5 health, right? And he's, Talonbane Cobra isn't, super beefy either, but Torkoal is way more dangerous. I mean, his ability to put one ship in your list in 180 degrees of his position at range or initiative 0 is just super awesome. Now, we're seeing now that they've got the rock set up, the other thing that Asajj has, as we mentioned, is Tobias Beckett, which is allowing Dave to reposition a rock right at the end of setup. One of my favorite.
It looks like he's clearing a lane for himself so that Darryl, whose least agile ships, he's basically created a bowling alley of 5 big rocks in front of Darryl's 2 least agile ships. So Darryl's got to. He basically knows that Darryl is going to be turning into the board.
Yeah.
That's pretty smart.
Last night, Darryl set up just like this too, and he sent the Warden Squadron kind of down that alley that just got blocked with the rock. So I don't know if David got a chance to watch that game and sort of read what Darryl wanted to do to get around and flank with the barrage rockets, but that's a great placement to thwart that for sure. And it's like joust me, bro. I've got Torkoal.
Yeah. Exactly. The good thing is, of course, that Darryl has a list that, to the extent that it's possible to ignore the annoyance that is Torkoal, Darryl's list can kind of do it. So he's got a Fen Rao who's 6, but he's in a Sheathipede. He is not really an offensive threat. So, call me. I welcome my Torkoal overlord as far as Fen Rao is concerned. Laura Wexley doesn't want to be Torkoaled, but on the other hand, if she's at range 1 of a ship, it's going to be really tough to kill her and keep her from firing.
Yep.
And then his other 2 ships are it too, so he doesn't care that much about it. The other thing is that Warden Squadron, although David's rock placement with Tobias Beckett was good there, that Warden Squadron with the slam is in a pretty unique position to be able to just say, I don't really care that much.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, just go over it with the slam if you really really want to flank. I mean, it's not the end of the world, right?
I would expect to see something like, if he wants to flank with the Warden Squadron, I would expect to see him do something like a two straight, two bank, and just come around that biggest rock.
Yeah, yeah. He could also,
But
too hard to make sure he's not going to get into the rock problem if he wanted to,
at all,
probably.
exactly.
Yeah.
Nora's really more of the problem. She's not directly behind the rocks, but
Yeah.
she wants to be a factor in the fight quickly. Then she either needs to go very fast or she needs to turn immediately.
Yeah, and that probably precludes the Warden from going. Well, no, I guess not. I mean, yeah, because Nora will move after the Warden, so the Warden can do whatever it really wants to get, as long as it's not there where Nora clearly is probably going to want to too hard to the right away now too. I think last night's game, what Darryl did is he slow rolled forward a little bit just to see where Tommy was going to commit to while the Warden flanked. And the other thing about this rock placement is it does kind of, I think, make Darryl have to commit right now to which way he's going
Exactly.
with everything. So maybe even more important than that the Warden Squadron is blocked is that. So we've got dials down already for David's ships. My impression from watching some games of Darryl's is that he is sort of in the middle in terms of time he puts into thinking about dials, etc. We've got Rick, who will just throw dials down immediately on one end of that spectrum, and then we've got guys like Daniel and Brandon, who are far more deliberate. And my experience is Darryl's probably close to the middle there. And I don't have a lot of experience with David. You know what? I did play David one time, now that I remember. But I don't.
David and Darryl are both pretty average in the length of time they take. As am I. So when they're two of my more regular opponents, and we don't have any problems with any disparity in the amount of time that we spend planning. Now, one thing I can tell you from experience, if they are communicating via voice, they've also played each other a lot. And Darryl is easier to Jedi mind trick than David is.
Okay.
But we're not privy to that, unfortunately.
Talk a little bit more about what you mean by that.
So, Darryl is a very smart player, and he's really good. You won't see him make very many terms of his spatial placement, things like that. But if there's a situation where something is a little dicey, 2 or 3 alternatives, if he hears muttering from you, it can have an effect on what he chooses. So I noticed that a very long time ago. When I'm playing Darryl, I'm muttering quite a bit, and I'm doing it in a way that is shaping his perceptions toward what I want him to think that I'm doing and what I want him to do in response to that. We're not privy to their voice chat, unfortunately, so we don't know if any of that's going on. If this is, in my opinion, an extremely even game in terms of skill, if David is not able to take advantage, and there's Miranda, jeez, he wishes. There's a Warden Squadron pilot. Immediately, yes, getting into committing to the fight the way that he had to because of David's placement. Yep. So that Tobias Beckett played a big part in this game already.
Yep. And it'll be interesting to see if what he does next turn is just turn in wit to the meat of David's list, or if he tries to maybe go around that rock to strafe while the rest of his list heads in straight forward.
Yeah, the thing is, he didn't buy barrage rockets to not use them. He does have that turret, though. He does have that turret.
Yeah. It was actually interesting last night is, I know that Darryl was trying to get barrage rockets on, and you should try to get your barrage rockets, into whatever you think is the most dangerous opponent. But you're not sad if you're maybe range 1 turreting either. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Right. Yeah. Did I ever tell you about the time at LVO that my full health Obi-Wan Kenobi with a focus token got range 1 turreted to death by who was it? Elijah Yoon's circle?
No, I hadn't heard about
Yeah,
that one.
yeah. Range 1 turret to death, Obi-Wan, full health with a focus token.
Was that CLT Obi-Wan?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. That's. I was gonna say Delta 7 Obi-Wan probably doesn't suffer such an ignominious defeat.
Nope. This was just 3 hits, a blank out, and then
Ugh.
a direct hit.
Yep. The worst nightmare of
Sweet.
every X-wing player ever.
So not sure what David's doing there with Talonbane. Maybe just slowing down, getting away from Nora.
Yeah, I suspect he probably wants to be in behind Asajj. I mean, he gets his best offensive action obviously at range 1, but he might just be looking to, have Asajj sort of get into the mess first, and then Talonbane maybe engage at range 1 the turn after. That all piles
And maybe get Asajj to take 3 or 4 points of damage, where
Exactly.
Darryl might feel that he is invested and has to keep pursuing.
Yeah.
Thing about Asajj is the ship is just so fast that can work for you or against you.
Yeah. I mean,
all-
a blue 3 bank
Yeah.
is no joke when you have a large base.
It really isn't.
Oh, that's an interesting choice by Darryl there. So he's just barrel rolled behind a rock.
I don't just. Yeah, I don't. He would do that. I mean, now he pretty much has no choice but to do a 2 bank over the rock.
I mean, to clear stress, sure. I mean, I guess he doesn't have to do a blue, given that he's not going to get an action anyway.
Yeah, that's true. He could do a white, but I mean, now he's got the Y-wing that's going to be causing him problems with Nora's movement. That's really an interesting barrel roll. I'd like to know what he was thinking there. David is protecting Torkel on Asajj's left astern because Torkel is going to be the number 1 target, and Torkel's ability unbelievably works out to range 3 in a 180-degree arc.
Yeah.
Which is absurd.
I mean, you talked a little bit, Jeff, earlier about how Torkeling something like the Warden Squadron is almost a disappointment. Because you're only dropping it a couple of spots, and also, the only one who's not going to shoot before him naturally is Torkel himself, right?
Exactly.
So it does give you the chance to maybe finish off the Warden Squadron with Torkel if that were the circumstance. But I suspect what Darryl plans to do here with the Warden is get in right on top of Torkel right now, like ASAP.
Do you think maybe a 2 straight 2 turn, and then next turn he's in that fight threatening Torkel, and not a whole lot Torkel can do about it?
I see kind of a couple options here, because I could see Darryl doing something cheeky like a 2 hard 2 forward to just jam in there and block everybody, including potentially Torkel. Obviously, the Warden wouldn't have a shot in that case, but it's not the end of the world if you're following up with, the Arc and the Y-Wing and what have you, and nobody has actions on the other side. He could also do, the 3 forward, 3 bank to then turn in next turn as well. Again, no shot, but threatening a flank that David's going to have a hard time dealing with, with the bulk of Darryl's list coming in from the other side.
Go ahead. The medium can deceive you, but a 3 straight 3 bank there is honestly, it's not off the board, but it is close to the edge of the board.
Yeah.
I would expect probably to Darryl either do a 2 straight 2 turn and take the take the disarm, or a 2-turn take the focus and just get all his shots, get all his ship shooting this turn.
Yeah.
Because Saj is not going to slow down. She really just can't do a whole lot to slow down.
No,
She's a
she
large
can't.
base ship. Even a 1 forward is a big move ahead.
Yeah.
So he's probably feeling some pressure to not let David get unanswered shots.
Yeah. And David does have the initiative. He was given the initiative by no, he would have had to take initiative, I would guess. So Torkel has moved and boosted.
Boosted, yeah, because he's got Moldy Crow and he's got focuses.
Yeah. There's the too hard you expected, and there's the just I will barrage rocket you focus.
Yeah, he may not even spend barrage rocket.
No,
because he's got a 3-die attack on Torkel no matter what.
He sure does.
Oof. I'm just confused about. Don't know what that barrel roll was for.
Well, I wonder if his plan is to too hard the Y-wing 3-bank Nora and not worry about the action because he wasn't going to get it anyway, and then I don't know what we would see.
I mean,
Fenn do.
He can get an action here because Fenn can coordinate him in action.
That's true.
Oh, if he's going, but he needs to not be stressed. So that's why I'm saying he has to do a blue maneuver.
Yeah, exactly.
And he doesn't want to be on the rock, so that's a 2 blue maneuver.
Yep.
And it's not going to hit the Y-wing, so I think he's doing a 2-bank blue. And we'll just coordinate it. Give Nora a token.
Yeah. And there's a slow 1 forward from a massage, which I think got backed up earlier because
slow
turn. I mean, yeah, it's right. it is just. I mean, it's the only real slow maneuver that Asajj has got. But yeah, it moved like halfway across the board. But yeah. So
these are both really. Torkel is just. I give a slight edge to David here just because Torkel is such a pain in the ass, and there's the 2-bank. And like I said, Darryl will rarely make and the good news is that this turn Nora's not going to be taking much fire, and next turn Nora's going to be getting her evades, and probably for the length of her survival, she's going to be getting her evades.
Yep. So I suspect that Darryl did the barrel roll because he knew, given that barrel roll and positioning, how to get these guys back into this formation, which is incredible. Yeah. And as you say, Fenn can then coordinate him whatever she wants, or take her own focus. I think probably expecting that Torkel is going to do her job. Nora's going to be firing last. Is my guess.
Oh, Fenn can basically keep any ship he shoots at from spending a token.
Yep.
Well,
it's actually it's when they, as long as they're in his arc, when they engage, he has to make that choice.
Right.
Yep. And so David did choose to Torkel Nora, so Nora will be going at 0. And Asajj is firing. No, Fenn should be firing. Oh, right, and Asajj is doing her thing.
Yes. Stressing somebody. Bull arc, right?
Yes.
So now Fenn has to either lose his focus or be stressed, and he can't use his own ability.
Yeah. Pretty powerful, which suggests that maybe David has decided he's going to try to get rid of Fenn first.
He doesn't have the shot with Asajj on.
He's probably got the best shots on the Warden.
I'd say he's got it. I'd say he's taking the shots on. I think he's just keeping Fenn from using ability because that ability is pretty powerful against Torkel.
It is, and again, yeah, he can exactly. I mean, he could choose to do that to Torkel, even knowing Torkel wasn't going to fire at him. we talk about kind of what David's priorities are here. We should talk about the point values of Darryl's list. So we've got Nora at 59, Fenn at 51. The Warden Squadron's no slouch at 55. The Gold Squadron vet
So that
is
agile
35.
gunner. That agile gunner is the one thing that argues against the barrage rockets. That's kind of it, the barrage rockets kind of makes it subtract value from the agile gunner a little bit.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that in this case, if the Warden fires at Asajj, the Warden's got that bullseye, so that's self modifications. That's basically a double modified shot with barrage rockets.
Yep. All right, so Fenn is going at Asajj 2 versus 2. That's a good roll to start with. Spends
It's
his
like we have a
focus.
little bit of lag. Go over to the vassal game.
And Asajj loses a shield.
And by the way, the resolution on the stream is
You said it was better.
it's better, yeah.
Okay, good.
On the stream, it wasn't as good as when you were doing 2160.
Yeah,
But-
I know. But at least the stream can kind of keep up almost.
yeah.
All right, so Talonbane is going to go at Nora at range 3. That's an interesting decision to split, or maybe not split.
I don't care for the decision to split fire. I don't.
Especially against a
Barely the
four-ship
right
list.
choice.
I mean, now that Fenn doesn't have a focus, I would be going at Fenn, to be honest.
Gonna just roll natties that baby.
Just roll natties. That's right. That's the key to winning X-Wing.
Uh-huh.
Just roll natties. Of course, Nora not having a token because he chose not to coordinate him does make him a delicious target, but I don't think Asajj has a shot on Nora.
Exactly. Asajj, at least, no, the arc's bent, so who knows, really.
That's right. Well, yeah. Vince told us that you guys got a private message from Muon that you're going to share on your next podcast.
I don't actually know the circumstances, whether it was private or not. My impression was that he just put it on the Discord, but I honestly don't know for sure. I had an exchange with him on the Fantasy Flight forums a little bit earlier today. I just, I think that he thinks that it's too much work to be worth changing is
Right.
basically what it comes down to. And to a certain extent, that's something I find difficult to argue against because I'm too lazy to do the work
Right.
to fix it. So, it's you're being called out for not giving Darryl his just roll man.
It's actually Daniel's fault because Daniel's supposed to be on the evade button.
Oh, is he?
Muon hard coded special tools for Daniel to add evades whenever he wants. So
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
yeah. So Daniel just clicks
That's
that
good.
button and all of a sudden double evades. But and last night he was helping Darryl against Tommy. So I don't know what happened.
Oh, just to catch people up a little bit, it looks like Nora has lost all her shields.
Yep.
It looks like Fenn has lost his 2 shields. No, a shield and a hull.
Yep.
It looks like Asajj has lost only a shield.
Fenn should have lost. Yeah, he should have lost.
Lost a shield and a hull.
He should have lost more than that. Because it was 3 hits versus 2 blanks, right?
That on Fenn? A 3 versus 2, hit, focus, use focus. Yeah, he should have lost. His Fenn is only 5 hit points, right?
Yeah, one shield and 4 hull.
Yeah, so if Fenn took 3, then Fenn's got 1 too many hull.
Yeah, there we go. And he also
and
got tractored, which is unfortunate.
Yep. Yes, it is. So now Torkel's going to shoot at him.
Yep. So I suspect that's why Talonbane fired against somebody else. He expected he'd be able to hit Fen with Asajj and tractor it in, and then do the kill shot with
I mean,
Torkel.
that's a greedy expectation.
It
I would
is
say
yeah,
say that's 15% best that you get the kill shot. 15% at best.
yeah.
And it may work out. 15% works out.
It's not the way I would do it, but maybe it was his expectation. I don't know. David did fight his way to first place, so he may know things we don't.
The thing about it is that even if you think that's the thought process, right? Let's say Talonbane takes the shot at Finn, and then Asajj ends up killing Finn. Right? Talonbane did 2 damage. Asajj's shot kills Finn.
Yep.
Then Torkel's got a range 1 shot on the K-wing. It's not like Torkel didn't have a target.
Exactly.
Right,
I mean, he's got also Nora in arc. If he really wanted to, shoot at Nora, you could have waited for Torkel's shot just as well as Talonbane's. All right, so he's got the. Go ahead.
I'd say Darryl is losing this engagement at the moment pretty strongly, but things can change.
Yep. So he's got 3 versus 1 on Fen here, and that is a dead Fen, no matter what.
That does it. It does it.
Oof.
Yeah, and notice that if Fen had been able to use his ability, Asajj would not have done 3 damage. Finn would still be alive. So Finn not being able to use his ability because Asajj was able to stress him ended up very strong.
Yeah, I wonder if Darryl could do that over again, if he would have just coordinated Nora, because Nora's out of arc and couldn't have been focus stressed. Right?
If Darryl could do it over again, completely honestly, he would remember Bias Beckett, and he wouldn't have set up behind those rocks.
I was just looking at Asajj because I haven't used her in second edition. Actually, if he didn't have the focus token, it would have been an auto stress. But probably worth just giving up that focus token at that point to lock down an attack. Such is life. Here comes the barrage rockets, though. This is the shot we've all been waiting for.
All right. And if he remembers, he can reroll. There you go. That costs the charge. Still there?
Yeah. Yes, I was waiting for him to reroll. Good reroll for him.
It was. And Asajj is out of force, rolls an evade, 2 damage, so Asajj is now down 3. So this is not a fantastic turn. Can't be too happy with the losing Finn. 3 shields on Nora in exchange for 3 damage on Asajj. That's 8 damage versus 3. That's ouch. That's painful.
Yep. Yeah, it's not. It's I don't think it's the end of the world.
Finn's only worth 51 points, so
yeah.
With some smart play.
Yeah.
Darryl remembered a crack shot with Finn, by the way. Did he even have the chance?
I don't think he had bullseye on Asajj where he was until he got pulled into range 2. Now, he did get Asajj 1 point away from. No, he's at half points, isn't he?
He's at half, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, he did 2 more. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So the thing is, Fenn's off the board. Fenn's 51 points. That's not great to lose in the first round of combat. But Asajj is 75 points, so it's not an even trade, but it's not the end of the world.
Who was that last 3 versus 2 on Asajj attack?
That was Nora, who had been torkled.
That's right. I got Torkel. God, Torkel is such a punk. Oh, he's such a punk. Darryl just mentioned he should have used crack.
Ah,
Yeah, he definitely had bullseye because he was tractored straight forward.
that's right.
Oh yeah, he had the bullseye. He just forgot the crack shot, which it's easy to do.
Yes, it is. Particularly when you're like, no, 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 no.
All right. So let's see. We've got Fenn's dead.
Yep.
And that's 51 points for David. Saj is at half.
Yep.
That is 38 points. So we're only talking about a 13-point difference. The real thing is we're talking about a 13-point difference and Nora's into Hull.
Yep.
If David gets smart here, even with those evades, David can this turn cripple Nora. If he gets all 3 shots, he gets a good roll with a Talonbane 5-die shot. He could kill Nora this round, and that would be disastrous.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see, how David uses Torkel here to try to maybe give Asajj and Talonbane the space that they need to get arc on the ships that he wants to be firing at. Because with Torkel going first, it's not like Darryl can use the Warden to sort of block Asajj and Talonbane with any confidence. So it could be that Torkel just one banks to get that stress off and boosts in, maybe just to cause a ruckus. I'm not sure what Asajj does.
Did we decide had
David has initiative.
First player? All right, so Torkel's got to move first.
Yep.
The thing about it is that David's thinking about 4King Asajj, which I don't think is a particularly good move here. But if he is thinking about 4King Asajj, then he doesn't want a 1 bank in front of the Warden because that blocks Asajj's 4K because the Warden's not going to be able to go anywhere.
Is it a 4K or a 5K on the Shadowcaster?
That's a fine question.
Let me see if I can.
I'm checking. It is a 5K.
5K.
Still, 1, 2.
It's close.
Super close.
Yeah.
Super close. Yeah. But it's close enough that even if Torkel blocks the Warden, the Shadowcaster would still be able to slip in behind with a 5K.
Yeah.
In other words, the Warden will move far enough that.
Right.
I just think that there's a decent chance Nora just sees that coming in 2 turns here and then just lights Asajj up.
I mean, the best move that the Y-Wing even has is a 2-hard, so he could 2-hard both those ships, or, maybe he'll have to 3-hard the Gold Squadron to get out of Nora's way, but the Y-Wing could also do a 3 bank just to get out of Nora's way if Nora does go that way.
Honestly, I think I'd like to see the Y-Wing just do 1 straight or a 1 bank. Nora do a 2 turn, which is going to have at the least, well, maybe so blocks Warden.
Yeah. So David popped Contraband Cybernetics on Torkel so that Torkel could take an action despite being stressed. I like that.
Yeah, there's the block. But now, of course, if he did the 5K, it will definitely fit.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah. 1 straight. That's all right. I didn't see Torkel's turn coming myself, so it's hard to fault Darryl for that.
Yeah. Well, I wondered if he might do. I didn't think about popping Cybernetics and just doing it 2-hard. I thought he might just do a 1 bank boost, which would have put him more or less in the same place.
It's a 5K. All right.
Yep.
Oh, straight. First. This is everything's going bad for Darryl here.
Yeah. I'm really interested to see what he dialed in for Nora because
I am too.
there's nothing that fits anywhere. I mean, he's out of Asajj's
turn?
arc where
In the 2-turn, maybe? He tried
close.
it. Me, sort of.
Yeah, and no arc on the Shadowcaster.
Would have been. It was close, but it would have been a miracle.
Yeah. What is really good for David here is that Torkoal move protects Torkoal from basically everything except
Yes.
an unmodified shot from Nora, which who cares?
Correct. Yeah.
And Talonbane took a target lock, and even with the added evade, Nora's going to could push easily 3 or 4 damage through here. So not looking great.
Yeah, I honestly, as ridiculous as it sort of sounds, I almost feel like David engineered an incredible advantage with that big rock right in the middle of that, creating that alley of rocks right in front of the Warden Squadron. I feel like he just engineered a huge advantage that Darryl has struggled with.
Yeah, I almost think Darryl probably should have just sent the Warden along the far path anyway. Just barrel over that rock and come around from behind.
But of course, it's easy to say. You do feel a lot of pressure when you have an incredibly fast ship like the Shadowcaster threatening you with unanswered shots on the second turn, and you're like, I can't take unanswered shots while my Warden Squadron moseys around through the rocks. But as it worked out, you would have been better off.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing for Darryl is that the Warden has 2 choices for shots, and one of those could do some significant damage to Asajj, so it's not the end of the world. And that's actually, that result on Nora is almost best case scenario.
It really is.
For him. The horror of the single modded attack.
That's not the worst.
It's
like
not.
I mentioned, I played this against David 2 or 3 times. I can't remember which. In one of our games, he rolled 5 misses. He had a target lock, and then he rolled 5 misses again.
Oh, no. That is the worst.
It was like, oh, man. I mean, it wouldn't have definitely won him the game if he'd gotten 3 or 4 hits, but it would have made it a much closer game. You know, that is the horror of the single modded shot, is all misses to all misses.
Yeah. And so Nora is torqued here and is in arc of every enemy ship. So it's very unlikely Nora is going to get another shot in this game.
So she's going to take at most from Asajj. She's going to take at most 2 from Torkoal. So it's actually pretty likely she'll survive. She'll take at most 3 from Torkoal. Yeah, I give Nora's chance of survival here about 50-50. He's got to roll something other than blanks, though.
Yeah.
To get that, because her ability adds an evade. It's not he's got to get that full evade from that if he wants to live.
Yeah. Not a terrible crit to draw there, though, because who cares?
Now, Torkoal is going to have a 4-die shot before she can respond.
Yep.
He has to get that double evade, and he has to not roll 4 results, basically.
Yep, exactly. Well, maybe he'll get that legendary 4 blank.
Yeah. That legendary. Heroic? People make fun of me for saying this, but I honestly believe that heroic is the best thing that.
Oh, it's my favorite upgrade.
It's just it is the exact perfect amount of variance protection and psychological buffering for 1 point. It's exactly right. I mean,
Not sure what Darryl is pausing over here. Yeah, your only shot is 3 versus 2 on the on Talonbane. Darryl's praying for
Oh.
natties.
You could take the 2 versus 2 on Massage.
I suppose.
Oh,
Oof.
okay. Heroic.
Just roll blanks.
Oh, so now maybe he doesn't hit Nora with the Warden. Maybe he does hit Talonbane.
Yeah, I think because it's tough.
All right, here's to see if Nora dies, and this is what I was talking about. This is the fear.
Yep.
That's
Ow.
it. Nora
Yep,
dies.
that's dead
It's
Nora.
just deadly. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Darryl would so take the
Oh, there's
opening
the
back.
double evade finally though.
Not enough, unfortunately.
One roll too late.
Too late.
Yep.
Darryl would so like to start this game over again.
Well, this is,
If
I'd have to say this is what you would normally expect to see in a 1 versus 8 matchup in some sense. David got the 1 seed for a reason.
Yeah. Oh yeah, his list is definitely strong. I don't think it's this overpoweringly strong. I just think that I honestly think Darryl forgot about Tobias, and it really, really cost him. That's such an odd thing to say, that a 2-point card can have this big an effect on the game, but it forced Darryl to joust a Torkoal list.
Yep. So the Warden Squadron still does have a shot. He does look like he's deciding to try to get half points on Talonbane.
Yep.
And again, this game's not completely out of reach. He just has to pile on damage if he can.
Yes, to get some variance in his favor, for sure. This is the point where if I were playing either of these guys, someone would suggest, hey, let's just reset and run it back. Just because the practice is already, the thing that you're going to learn from this game has already happened. And my computer monitors just went to sleep. Wake up, computer monitors. Stress. I'm not sure. I guess just to plan. So 3 versus 2 Talon. This is unmodified in both directions. Not a bad roll.
Not a bad roll at all.
Hits, and he does have points.
Half points.
That's something. So let's get an updated score here. Darryl now has 64, and unfortunately Nora died. It's a 64 to 110. It's an uphill climb, but it can be done. I wouldn't say that, dear listeners, if I didn't mean it. It can be done. There's
I mean, it's definitely a long shot because, it's possible with Nora still on the board, or much more possible with Nora rather than either of these 2 ships. The Y-Wing is not going to be the ship that saves Darryl here, so it's going to have to be the Warden Squadron really, getting some lucky shots in.
On the other hand, if the Y-Wing, say the Y-Wing just does a 3-bank right, which I think is a pretty good move, it's almost certainly going to have a range 1 shot on Asajj. Granted, it's with the dorsal turret. It's only going to be 3 dice. But it's going to be modified. If he leaves that Y-Wing alone, he's probably going to regret it. I
wonder if maybe Darryl thinks about the 4K with the Y-Wing, just because I think that, primary or dorsal isn't going to really matter this turn, and that gets the dorsal pointed down, where at the very least Asajj is headed, and the hawk is as well.
It's not sure I give up a modification. Don't think that there's a reason to give up a modification yet. So
Yeah.
if he does a 3-bank right, he's got a shot this turn. And he does a 2-turn, and he does have to rotate his turret, or he could do a 4K at that point. Either one.
Yeah. I mean, the Warden's going to go first, so he could 2-turn, I think, around Torkel if he really wanted to. Get in Asajj's way, open up some space for the Warden. Maybe still have the dorsal turret shot on Talonbane wherever Talonbane ends up. Ooh, Connor net. Forgot about that thing. Oh man, that's even more brutal.
What does it do now exactly? I don't necessarily think it's going to have that much of an effect.
So let me bring up my handy dandy rulebook on my iPad here. The Connor net, since I'm sure almost nobody remembers what this thing does since it got added late. The Connor net is a bomb.
It's a damage and 3 ion tokens.
Yep.
Oh, I don't think that hurts the Warden squad.
Well,
So
Warden. Let's see. The Warden still does its maneuver, I think, this turn, right? It's next turn. It will be ionized. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it affects the Warden Squadron that much. Honestly, it's a damage.
Yeah. Well, it's an auto damage, and it makes him super predictable in the following turn, which could be real bad.
So there's not. What did Torkel do? Torkel just did a left bank 2. Is that blue for Torkel?
Nope, it's white, so he is still stressed.
That's right, so he's stressed. So Torkel's out of the fight now.
Yep.
Asajj is not going to have a shot is probably not going to have a shot on the K-Wing. I guess maybe she could, depending. Correct.
So no slam for Darryl.
Yeah, I don't think he won. I don't know exactly what he did, but I'd be kind of surprised if he did anything other than a 1.
Yeah, I don't think he was planning to do anything fancy because he kept his arcs pointed forward and back.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold on.
It's a fair question.
I'm trying to think about. I'm not sure which part he's hung up on here.
The definition of ionized in X-Wing is when you have enough tokens, and he has that.
Yeah, exactly.
Phase and X-Wing ship is not okay. In the activation phase, an ionized ship that did not have a. Oh no! It's an ionized ship that did not have a dial assigned to it. He doesn't have to do the focus token, because he did have a dial assigned to it. See what I'm saying?
Hold on. I fucking hate ConnorNet for this very reason.
No. Yeah, I can explain it to you. I'm looking at it right now if you want.
Well, it's more it needs to be explained to Darryl.
Okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he still can only do the focus next turn because they don't clear until after the ion
turn.
tokens don't clear till after the action next turn.
Here's the thing. He can only do a focus token next turn because that's the turn in which the ionized ship that did not have a dial assigned to it during the planning phase activates. This is an ionized ship that did have a dial assigned to it during the planning phase. It isn't under the restriction of only the focus action.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure just being ionized.
Oh,
A ship is
it isn't.
ionized while it has a number of ion tokens relative to its size. During the
I'm gonna.
during the activation phase, an ionized ship that did not. Oh, okay. But the thing is that hold on.
All of these 4 things apply if the ship was not assigned a dial. The ship was assigned a dial.
The thing is that additionally, an ionized ship cannot perform any action except the focused action, and he is ionized. So if a ship becomes ionized after the planning phase and therefore has been assigned a dial, but before it is activated during the activation phase, it activates as normal. During the next planning phase, if the ship is still ionized, it is not assigned a dial and proceeds with the ion maneuver during the activation phase. So he is technically ionized. It is only focus action.
Activates as normal.
Yeah, activates as normal. In other words, gets to use its dial. But he is ionized. He can only do a focus.
Okay, but activates is okay. The activation phase is also the perform actions.
I know, but an ionized ship cannot perform any action except the focus token. Focus action. He is ionized.
Yeah.
So, I get it. Their wording sucks.
Their wording sucks. It seems contradictory there.
Yeah. I mean, he does activate as normal. I mean, he's using his dial. He does his maneuver, but he is also ionized, so that restricts his action.
Did he's got the shot on Talonbane. It's not bad. He's gonna take a 5-die shot. So Darryl just lost his Warden Squadron pilot. Yeah, he's walked off the board at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I think you're right that he's not gonna make it. Well, I can't really tell for sure, but I think you might be right.
Well, get your shots, make them count. Going to be that gold versus the world.
Right.
Oh, weird.
I'm continuing to dig until we get to next
Oh,
activation.
I think you're right about this. I just think it's a really crappy way to organize this rule. What I would have done with this rule. So they went to these great links to say an ionized ship that did not have a dial assigned to it during the planning phase activates as followed.
Yeah.
They could have, in that additionally bullet point, say an ionized ship, even if it did have a dial assigned to it during the planning phase, not perform. How hard would that be?
Well, I think the problem was that they wrote part of it before they did the ion changes and before they released this bomb.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, because if you remember, up until last points change, the ion action was different, or ionized was different. So I suspect they just thought they were fine. They weren't.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah. Let's see.
In Talonbane, though.
I think, unfortunately, I think Darryl might be on tilt.
I mean, at this point, on tilt and just accepting the inevitable are not all that different.
Right. Fair.
It's I'm sure that Darryl's spatial ability is good. I'm sure he realizes that the warden is dead. That turn, I don't get that turn. Didn't make much sense to me.
Well, he didn't
But-
know he was going to hit. I don't think he knew he was going to get hit by Connor nets for one thing. I think what
Oh,
he was
for
hoping,
sure. But even in
Yeah.
even in the absence of,
yeah, he didn't
Don't-
need to, and he might have been better off. I mean, maybe he wanted to make sure he'd have arc on Torkel wherever Torkel went. I'm not sure. We can ask him when this is all said or done. Now that's probably the worst possible. Well, I guess as you say, he may not care. The Warden squadron may just go off the board in 2 turns, but structural damage is not good.
yeah, he's. I mean, I could. Okay, I'm not 100%. We'll see. We'll have to see.
Yep.
Is an ugly situation to be in, though.
Yeah. It's not looking good for the rebels. Damn you, scum and villainy. All right.
Going to bias. He's
So it looks like we'll
purple
get a
tees.
crit through on Talonbane.
Good. That gives him a shot here. Almost the same thing.
Yeah, Field League's good because if you do put a crit through next time, Talonbane's dead. Yeah, that 2 bank from Torkel is particularly interesting because it takes Torkel's ability out of the game. Not that that's critical at this point, but not really what you want.
I did a little best as I could. Finger measuring, and the warden is definitely off. Not
Okay.
next turn, but the turn after.
Darryl's now calling for 2 crits. That's
Hey,
that
guess roll
could
daddies.
be it for Talonbane.
Yeah,
And that
you
is
got
no,
him.
didn't need it because Talonbane did not natty.
Roll victory. Right. So let's see. Warden's not at half. Talonbane's dead.
Torkel is definitely
All
not the
right.
ship you want to bring into an endgame situation necessarily.
I mean, honestly, if Torkel just wanders around there and comes back with 4 focus tokens and full health and a red boost action, I mean, it's not the worst ship in the world to bring in against. I mean, keep in mind, all Darryl's going to have is a Gold Squadron pilot.
That's true. Yeah, it would be better for him if he had like Ion rather than dorsal turret. But this is Jank Tank. You can't always get what you want here.
Choose. The game, as it technically stands right now, is 110 to 90 in David's favor. Unfortunately, Ward's going to get one more shot, which is good.
Yeah, but he can't turn the dial, so it's possible for Ventress to potentially just blow past him. I mean, he can't turn the turret. Oh wait, yes, he could use Agile. He could use Agile Gunner to do it.
Could use Agile Gunner right now, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he wants to, right? I don't see where can Ventress get that doesn't get a shot, even if it's only at range 3.
I was thinking maybe a 3 bank once the Warden moves, but you're probably right. That probably is like the worst case scenario.
The Y-Wing, I think, has to 3 bank and rotate the dial. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, the Y-Wing's not in a great spot. just doesn't have a lot of good places to go. But at least he's not stressed. And that's interesting because Asajj did not choose to stress. I wonder if that's because you can't do it at 0. I'll have to look at that. It is range 0 to 2. Yeah, he didn't choose to force the GSV to lose its or choose its focus or not.
Yeah. Maybe just
Maybe didn't want to spend the force.
because- Actually, that's probably the case. Didn't want to. David, when I was playing him, he never forgot Asajj. He always checked. One of the problems that I have with the Shadowcaster as it is that the Shadowcaster title and so many of the abilities basically encourage you to make it a one-arc ship. Wish that they were built differently than that. Like, Ketsu's ability, for example, you have to have the mobile and the primary in the same arc, and I almost wish it were the opposite. Like, it didn't work if they were in the same arc or something like that. You had to. I don't know. It just seems odd that they have all these. They have the ship with a good primary and a mobile arc, and they decide to make it a one arc ship in most cases anyway.
Yeah, it is kind of fighting itself. Oh yeah, that's Rest in peace, Warden Squadron Pilot.
It's a heck of a time to remember your Connor net and a heck of a time to forget your opponent's Connor net.
Right.
If you're listening, Darryl, I feel for you. God knows I've been there.
Yep. And I think if you're Asajj 3 bank away, make it the worst possible shot on you.
Or get a 3 range. It might still be. In fact, I think it still is range 2, but still, the Y-wing may not have a shot on you.
Ooh, there's a
Oh,
ballsy
4K. Okay. Yeah, why not?
Yep. That Y-wing is gonna solo David's list. So it's gonna
There's
happen.
that 3 bank.
Yep.
It's going to be range 2. I'm pretty sure with the
I think that's
3.
I think it's range 3. But we'll find out soon.
All right. Bet you a beer. It's range 2 with
Oh,
the
wow.
warden.
Well, it's definitely range 2 for Asajj. Asajj gets a target lock. Smart. Not worried about the warden because.
Nope.
Yeah.
Is there any way to crit chain 2 crits into 5 damage? Let's go through our damage card deck and see if there's any way to do it.
Let's not do that.
He's got a naked shot at range 3 from the Y-wing. I think that's just barely in range 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And looks like it is. He really should use Command Shift F.
Yeah, but you want to see the bent arcs, Ben. It's
Do
no
you
good.
though? I mean, do
It's
you?
no good. It's no good knowing the arcs are wrong if you can't see them.
Oh,
Is that a
That
triple
was-
evade from David?
yep.
Oh, David.
That was Asajj double middle fingering out the back.
Hey.
Drew, tell Isaiah hello from us as well. Yep. All right, range 2. You were right.
Okay, 2 hits. No
Oh,
crit chain's
geez.
gonna work on the. Oh my
5 green
god!
dice,
5
5
evades.
evades.
5 evades to just David off. David.
Wow.
David. That's-
You know what? I think Daniel is betraying Darryl now. I think Daniel is hitting that evade button for David. He's an agent
Yeah.
of chaos.
The good news is that, although it's frustrating for Darryl, It doesn't matter.
Right. Putting more damage through on Asajj was just prolonging the inevitable. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's all. I mean, it's not even prolonging it. It's just literally doing damage that it is not.
I'm telling you, Jeff, this Y
the Gold
Wing,
Squadron.
this Y
All
Wing
right, I hear you.
is gonna just solo this list now. Asajj has got to go around the long way. The Y Wing is gonna go after Torkel.
The Y-Wing's going to do a one bank to get rid of its stress because.
Okay, so slowly gonna go after Torkel. Really, really slowly.
I think Darryl's calling it, which.
All right.
Once I realized the Warden was off, I would have held it there since there's no MOV to get. So he stuck it out longer than I would. Let's see what we got. That's just unfortunate.
Hey, maybe the templates are bent too.
No.
On, Squadron. Torkel boosting back in to finish things. Though, as you say, as Darryl's already said, Darryl's just going to call it if the Warden is off, which I think we're all very sure he is. And now we find out.
And I very much sympathize. I miscounted in my third game in the league. I miscounted the score, and I turned Merrick toward a board edge and knew that the only chance I had would be to barrel roll him back, so I did that, but it was still just barely off the board. And because I had miscounted, losing Merrick actually cost me the game.
Oh, no.
That was painful. But lesson learned. The score. And don't announce the score, but don't rely on your opponent to ratify your announced score. Is he going to do it? Is it? Oh,
He jumps to light speed.
He did escape. Oh, 100 to 90. The official score. I guess. No, he's already got half on Asajj, so no point that. He should take it on Torkel and Prey, I guess.
Yeah, why not? All right, looks like Darryl is calling it. Okay. All right, so they are going to continue fighting, which I think is fine. No shot for Torx.
Y-Wing's got a range 3, 2 versus 3.
2 versus 3 blanks.
Versus 3 blanks. Let's do it.
Get him, Gold Squadron.
Oh!
Yeah.
There's a damage.
One will get through. He's back. He's back, baby.
It's 183 to 90 right now, folks. 83 to 90.
I think... David just gave him an extra shield off, which he shouldn't have done.
He did. We gotta fix that, right?
I don't know. Yeah, there we go. This is serious business here at Jank Tank 2 top 8 match, so we got to make sure that
it is surprisingly, speaking as somebody who has gone 0-3 so far, It is surprisingly fun just to face the caliber of player. I mean, it's there's it it isn't like these lists are not capable of pumping out damage and doing shenanigans. These are real games for absolute certain.
Yeah, I mean, not only great players, which we have a lot of here in kind of across our spectrum of California and Oregon, but the lists were they're ships that you might not normally see on the table, but there are a lot of good pilots that don't see tournament action. Sometimes because they're not in hyperspace, sometimes because people have slept on them, and I'll give a great example. I think Ahsoka Jedi is a ship I'm going to be putting on the board a lot more after seeing what it's done in this round. All right, so we are to combat. All right, no Focuso going to help with that one. Oh, but the Y-wing takes
That's all
the
right.
shield.
He's got 3 whole points left. He's fine.
Oh yeah, he's already into hull. Oh no, that's a crit.
He's already at half. Yeah,
Hit
he's only
crits.
got 17 points on the board.
Oh,
What was that? Direct hit?
direct hit. Yeah,
Oh, he's got 1 hole left. He's fine. It's all fine.
Alex in our chat is always a big fan of 4Ks and just went wild for Darryl's 4K there.
I'm not a fan of 4King when you don't need to 4K.
Me neither. But I think Darryl he knows what's going on here and just decided why not.
Just gladiatoring for our entertainment.
Yeah, I think so.
It's fair.
Alex probably slipped him a $5 bill to get him to do that. That's my guess. Alex didn't get enough poorly timed K-turns out of Tommy last night. He wants more. Always more K-turns. That's a nice roll. That's a bad roll.
Goodness.
Half points on Torkel.
Half points on Torkel. That's a lot of points. I mean, points.
It is a lot of points.
183 to 127. We're in no danger of calling it a comeback, Ben.
Look, allow me to hype this the way I want to hype it, okay?
This is a spit from the grave, not a comeback.
Yeah, that's true. What he really needed there was like double crits. And again, David's giving him too much damage.
You know what's funny is...
Okay, it looks like he's back up to 2 hull.
This would honestly be the greatest comeback in the history of X. Ollie losing Vader to
Darryl's
Noah.
Like, I've had enough.
Oh, dude, why? You won that engagement.
All right. Yeah, he doesn't want the finality. All right, I'm going to jump into the room that David's in, and we'll talk to him about the game. All right. So it looks like Darryl has conceded. Unfortunately, Darryl's not here. But David, we thought we would at least come in and get your thoughts on the game. So, man, quite a list you've got here. So you went first, top overall finisher in our pods. You just kind of obliterated Fenn in one round of firing. Where did you picked 10th, right? This list made it all the way to you at 10th.
Yes, this is the 10th pick of the litter. I was actually surprised. I was expecting this one to be taken already.
Yeah, so we were, even from the beginning, so Darryl set up very similarly to the way he set up in the game last night against Tommy. So he had the arc on the outside of that top rock. He had the Warden Squadron poised to kind of go, I think, through the rocks and do a long sort of flank on you. I don't know, did you get a chance to see Tommy's game last night, or did you just know that was coming and that's why you put the rock?
I was watching it.
Yeah, okay, that's right. You were with us. So is that what prompted you actually to put the rock over there, is remembering those moves, or was that just something where you wanted to, in general, push Darryl down towards you.
Yeah, I just wanted to push that arc down towards me. I didn't want to I didn't want it to get around. It was either you have to go the long way around to flank me or come right at me.
Yeah. So I guess, Torkel is obviously a really successful piece, and when it has been seen in tournament play, it's pretty gross. For you, what would you kind of call the key to what makes your list work? How do you approach engagements, David? We haven't gotten a chance to stream this list somehow up to this point, and that seems like kind of it's been something I wish we'd gotten on the stream up to this point, given what you've been able to do with it. So talk about how you make it work and what you're hoping for from engagement.
What I'm hoping for is that they shoot Asajj first. And that they leave Torkel and Talonbane alone, because if those two are attacked first, they go down fast. Asajj takes a little bit to go.
Yeah.
I'm able to. I try to
Darryl.
keep that positioning. I try to keep that positioning with Torkel so he's there, but harder to get to. And then try to keep Talonbane at range 3 as much as possible on that first engagement.
So Darryl's joined us too. But Jeff, go ahead. You were going to share a thought.
That's something that changed in second edition, is that Talonbane was made a little bit better because he was given double the range bonus at range 3. So I can't remember the exact nature of the change, but Talonbane got a little bit better, and I was pretty impressed when I played David that Talonbane was as effective as he was, at least when Darryl wasn't rolling 5 misses into 5 misses. That for some reason that tended to affect his effectiveness. Ben can tell you I was right from the beginning when you used that rock there. I was like, this is going to force a joust. This is what's gonna have to happen. And when that engagement happened and David got the better of the engagement, I went back to it, and I think that rock placement, I know Darryl did not like seeing that rock placed there by Tobias.
It completely changed everything, because I had planned on
everything.
I had planned on sending. My plan was send. I totally forgot about Tobias. I had planned on sending Nora past the small rock and to make a right turn and to come down that middle, right where the rock is. I had planned on sending Warden between the two little rocks, and I had planned on going very slow with Gold and Finn, and then I was going to all engage right where those cards are, but at my pace. And I had no idea that rock move was coming. It threw everything out. It opened up the board for him to do whatever he wanted to do at the bottom, and it forced me to meet him there.
Darryl, did you think at all about maybe just slamming through that rock with the Warden and keeping to your plan?
Yeah, I thought about it for a split second. I thought about, maybe slamming my way around the rocks, maybe turning Gold and Finn to the top, and then, but I hate being chased. I hate running and being chased, because I found a few times I've done it that inevitably I'm caught in some back-assward corner because I'm running. And look at all those rocks up there. I placed most of them. Yeah. I would have had to make it around all 5 of those rocks to have a decent fight. I would have been running for 4 rounds.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We talked about that a little bit. There's this tremendous pressure that you feel when fast ships are coming in on you to face them, to be able to at least punch them in the face if they punch you in the face. And it's a real pressure. It's hard. Sometimes the right thing to do is ignore the pressure, but it's very difficult to do.
And I'll admit something. You're right, David. I listened to what you were just saying about Torkel and Talon. I decided too late to take out Talon. If I would have concentrated on Torkel in the first joust, I probably could have hurt him pretty bad. And eventually I killed Talon. But the other mistake I made was I spent that damn focus just to get 1 extra damage that I didn't even use my crack shot on. Had I kept that focus, Finn would have survived that round. Yeah. Because I would have used that focus on defense I wouldn't have taken the stress. I would have kept my focus, and I would have been able to avoid the fifth damage. And Finn would have lived another round, which made a huge difference.
I mean, if you had given up the token and not been stressed, it would have taken a lot of, like, I think, difficult decisions to get there, but you also might have saved Finn just by having it to keep Torkel from spending the focus, too.
Yeah. And I think the other mistake was I came too fast with Finn. Gold coming in at a 3 was fine. I probably should have did a 2 bank or even a 1 bank with Finn just to keep him as far back as possible, because he really can slow down the attack of somebody else with that stress. And
Yeah.
He also, because you brought him in so fast, he got stressed, so he couldn't use his own ability.
Exactly.
Why the barrel roll with Nora face that small rock without the option, without any other option but going over it?
Well, the reason I did the barrel roll is that wasn't a fighting round. That was my positioning round, and I would have not been in the fight with Nora had I followed everybody. So I did the barrel roll so that I could do what I did the next round, which was a 2 blue, and cross that rock and be in the fight. So I was right behind gold when I did the barrel roll. And just 2 bank.
And remarked on how well you reformed your formation.
Yeah, it was actually, I thought that, once you had done it, it was like, oh, okay, so he knew what speeds he was going to have to do next turn to just literally be on top of each other and in the combat. And of course, because Nora was going to go over a rock, you knew you weren't going to have an action one way or the other. So, the speed, clearing the stress obviously helps you down the road, but it wasn't even crucial. You could have done whatever you wanted to get that formation back as long as you got over the rock, right?
Right. So the 2 bank was what I planned to get rid of the stress and to kind of be in a better position to fight. I just had
consider?
No idea how much,
Go ahead.
I just had no idea how much firepower David Bliss had. It actually lit me up.
Well, to be fair to you a little bit, it was clearly a little one-sided. But David was fortunate. He got in a couple of cases. It was only about 20-25% kill Finn in that situation. And it was a little bit less than that kill Nora in the situation where she died. Note that Nora only died because of going over that rock. Only died in that round because of going over that rock. So there was an element of fortune for David there, even when you consider that it was a one-sided engagement in his favor because of Tobias Beckett and Tobias Beckett.
Not just Tobias, but David, you did a 2 hard with Torkel there.
It was awesome.
That was just, I thought you were going to do a bank boost to get there, but the 2 hard was great.
Well, with contraband cybernetics, it was an easy call for me to to come up that middle, hopefully bump the K-wing to get at Connor net.
And that's what I told. 2 things I forgot. I didn't pay attention to Beckett, and I forgot about the Connor net. Had I thought about the Connor net, I'd have just did a forward move and just kept.
What was your
going forward
plan with the K-wing's 2 turn?
Well, of course, not counting the Connor net, I was going to 2 turn, shoot with my side arc or back arc, and then come back around that small rock at the bottom and be prepared for barrage rockets in an upcoming turn. But I had no idea I was going to have to deal with that Connor net.
Yeah, and the Connor net effect is super brutal if you don't expect it, because you're ionized for 2 turns.
That's what I kept asking about.
It's the rule book is even, because they've added pieces over time and changed the ion effect. It when they wrote that block, they weren't accounting for Connor net because they hadn't released it yet, and so it just says you activate as normal. But the problem is you're ionized once you have the ionized tokens, and while you're ionized, you can only focus. So it basically punishes you for 2 full turns. Whereas in 1.0, you would have been, this functionality was similar, but you would have had whatever action you wanted that round. So
I would have slammed. I would have did that 2 turn slammed. Yeah.
How quickly did you figure out that once you turned and you were ionized, you were dead?
I knew I wasn't going to make that. That's why I kept asking, do I have any other actions? Nope. Focus twice.
Yeah.
Did you consider coordinating Nora with Finn when you brought everybody back in? Finn grabbed his own token. Did you consider giving Nora something instead? Probably a target lock would be.
Here's the stupid thing. I thought about keeping the focus for defense, and then I spent it on offense for Finn. The very reason I took the focus was to use it for defense, and then my greed saw that focus, and I spent it to try to hurt Asajj. I tried to hurt Asajj.
Yeah, and like David said, that's the one target you don't. And even the reason that people passed on that list is that Torkel's 73 point. I think it's simply Torkel's almost always the target, but a 73 point Torkel is
gotta get him. Yeah,
gotta get him. It's got to.
Yep. And had Torkel going down, he can never mess with me with Torkel again. That means no matter what happens, Nora will always get her shot off, etc., etc.
Yeah. Over to you with a couple of questions, David. As you were looking at across the board at Darryl's list, what was your target priority? Was it because you did on that initial engagement, you split fire with Talonbane going first on Nora, and then you followed up with a shot on Fen from Asajj. What were you kind of thinking as you approached in terms of who was going to fire at what and why?
Well, I really wanted to fire it at Nora first because no range 1 bonus.
Yep.
For Nora.
Right. So if you could have, you would have just also fired Asajj at Nora, but you didn't have arc, so you went to Fen.
While in that first engagement.
We lost you there, David, for probably a good 10, 15 seconds.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was just, I didn't realize Asajj didn't have a shot on Nora. So I obviously couldn't go back and check it at that point.
No, she didn't. When you set your arc up, it missed, so you only shot it Finn. I remember that. Yeah, Asajj only had arc on Finn.
And it did work out.
It worked out because I wanted to shoot Nora, but didn't have arc on Nora, so I had to shoot Finn.
Yeah.
Else, Talonbane would have shot at Finn as well.
And you killed Finn anyway. Finn died on the joust, right? On the opening joust? Yeah.
Yep.
Was in the second turn. Yep.
Like I said, it was a pretty small chance of happening, but once you were in range 2 of Asajj, and it was definitely a possibility.
Then she reduced my agility, and she boosted me into range 1. Oof.
No, she boosted you into range 2.
It was range 2, but it was still, of Torkel, but that's still 3v1, so.
Exactly.
Let him up, and then of course I'm not rolling evade, so.
Yeah. So let's kind of wrap this up. If you guys, David and Darryl, if you have any thoughts that you want to share that we haven't covered with questions, let's go to David first.
I'm actually surprised at how well I'm doing with this list because I'm getting the engagements I like, and I'm getting the good rolls to start off, which sets me off on a good start. And it's every game so far, except for one, it feels like I've had the advantage from the start of the match. And then from then on, I mean, that Tobias to me is the biggest thing that gets me in this list.
So player forgets it. Let me ask you this, David. Is there anybody in the Jank Tank League that has beat this list?
No, it's undefeated right now.
There's nobody in the league that you've played against with the Jank Tank list that has beaten this list.
He's
aside from the casual game that we played, I mean, yeah, you beat me in this against this list. Is that what you're getting at? I thought you're talking about in the league itself.
Aha!
Way to plug yourself in that one, Jeff.
Let me ask you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what's really interesting about your list, David, is just the different tools you have, right? Like Torkel is great as is, but then Torkel also has a counter net. So if your opponent forgets and you get Torkel in the right place, that's
Like I did.
bonkers, right? Same thing with Tobias. Like, folks don't really necessarily get a lot of experience playing against players with Tobias, so they don't necessarily know to watch out for that rock moving. You've got 2 contraband cybernetics in your list, so on whatever turn you want, those 2 ships can keep a stress or get a stress, and they don't give a shit, right? It's just it's a lot of really good tools. And then if you just roll natties, that's the secret to winning X-wing, as we all know.
And then if I have my ship right behind, if I have a Saj right behind Torkel, I can still drop it with delayed fuse.
Yeah.
So here's a question.
It's genius. It really is. You just have to kill that. You have to kill Torkel. I mean, you just
No.
to.
You can
It's
let
just-
him live. For anybody I'm playing next, you can let him live.
Darryl, if you could have one moment back in the game, the entire game, one moment, what would you change as far as what you did?
Turn 0.
That's
I would've
what I
played-
figured.
I would have placed a rock. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, turn 0. I would have clustered those 4 rocks tight enough where his move wouldn't have fit a big rock in the middle.
There you go.
Well, I guess he could have slid another rock over if he had to. So maybe that's not it. That's not good enough.
I think you got something there. He can only move 1 rock. So
Right.
No.
Yeah, and then if I clustered them where he couldn't fit one in between, and then he moves one of the ones that are clustered, that would have just opened up the top of the board. Because I hated that top of the board. There was 5 rocks all on a big wall at the top. If I'd have had to go around that, I didn't like that. So it would have probably been rock placement. I had no idea why David was placing little rocks on my side and letting me place all the big ones. And then when he moved that rock, I was like, that's why he did that. Because he knew
He is
one more
seriously
move. He
he
said,
Well, it
seriously
gave
practiced with
me
this
2
list. I can
options.
tell you.
It gave me 2 options to either put the rock where it was, or to put it in between the 2 rocks in the bottom to block that path up that way. So I had a couple of options depending on where you set up.
I wish you would have put it at the bottom. I would have kept my ships to the top and taken my time. I wanted to really take my time and position my attack so that I could concentrate. And what you did threw me completely off. I had no mods for Nora. It was just, that opening joust, I needed to do a lot better. And not having mods plus getting a damage going across the rock, it was not good for me. Yep. So that would have been it. Turn 0. I'd have planned better.
But I gotta say something else. This is the first time I've beaten Darryl in an official game.
No.
Yes, it is. You've beaten me in every other tournament, and we
No.
played 3 or 4 times.
You beat me in Berkeley bad at that tournament. We had 8 players. You took me out. Yep.
Okay, maybe 1. All right. I remember all the losses more than I remember that win.
It's funny, I had
We've
a
had
similar
our back.
conversation today with Daniel Lim because I forgot that I had beaten him once. So I was like, yeah, but we were talking about the top 8 and just where people were and what have you, and it just came up. I was like, I've never beaten you, Daniel. He was like, yeah, you did. I was like, oh, wait,
Did
when?
When did that happen?
Because I
And
don't
then
remember. I don't necessarily remember wins, but I sure remember when I didn't equip myself well on the
Yeah,
table.
exactly. And then I were talking early, and I was like, I've played both these players a lot. They're 2 of the players that I play most often, and they're both really good players. And both of them don't make a lot of mistakes in their positioning or anything like that. But I said it's easier to Jedi mind trick Darryl. And
He got me.
Ben said, "What do you mean?" And I explained what I meant by Jedi mind tricking Darryl. So if you hear people muttering at you, Darryl, during the games, you just ignore them.
Yeah, there's Jedi mind tricking.
It's going to be Jeff's fault. He gave your secret out to the world. So
Yeah. Well, I can Jedi mind trick the Jedi mind trick. So
there you go.
There you go.
double negative.
There
So
you go.
David, I have a closing question for David. David, you got Daniel Lim in position 4 with Jedis and 2 Y-wing bombers, and then you got Stefan in position 5 with Oiken and some other stuff coming at you. Which one would you prepare to face? Which one would you rather face coming up in the next round? Because you face the winner of 4 versus 5.
Neither. It is 6 of one, half a dozen the other to me.
So it don't matter. Just give you who you get, huh?
You do not. I tell you, you don't want to face that Jedi Knight with Chopper. It's just feels like you're in a bear trap that you just can't escape, and every time you try to escape it, things just get worse.
Yeah, and that was another list that made it all the way down, way further than it probably should have too. It's really interesting how certain lists like yours, David, have emerged as just like, oh, of course this is good, right? Like 73-point Torkel, as you said, Jeff. People were like, oh, no way, but those 73 points are good points in almost every sense. I mean, Connor nets, Perceptive Copilot.
Blade fuses.
Yeah, Perceptive Copilot is probably overkill.
That's actually a very good upgrade. It's worth it.
Yeah,
because one turn I get the double focus.
Yeah, it's just so pricey that Yeah, but I hear you on that because you can go from being 0 focus to carrying around every focus you ever need in one turn. So.
Although whenever I find out when I have 4 focuses on them, I never roll a focus result.
What was your upgrade?
Isn't that the way? Sorry, you said something, Darryl?
What was David's upgrade? What was your upgrade, David, in your list? What was your upgrade change?
I took something off of
something off Torkel because he
was a 70. Torkel.
It was a 75-point Torkel.
It was a 2-point upgrade that I gave to Talonbane for the cybernetics.
I gave him a cybernetic. Okay, 1 more point. So he must have had a modification. So he had all 6 slots.
Did David? Did anybody that you faced so far prioritize Torkel?
I think they tried to, but I managed to keep them away.
Okay.
Or get them in a position where it wasn't advantageous to go after them.
This game is being watched by players in the 4th and 5th position.
Well, maybe not, but it will be. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you, Darryl, and thank you to David for giving us this matchup. It was maybe a little more brutal than Darryl hoped it would be, but still fun to cast. Jeff, thank you for joining me in the booth. David, I know you're off now for like a camping trip for 8 days, so I definitely want to get your next game on the stream as well because your list is just very, very cool to watch operate. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and end our stream, and we'll see you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Darryl.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, sometime this week for another stream.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Later. Thanks,
Have a good night.